And we do begin with breaking news because we have a 7.0 magnitude earthquake that has just hit Northern California.
Big breaking news out of the state of California. I want to show you what it's like to live in the state of California where we live right now. We just got our phones go off with emergency alerts. It's because we're also getting an alert that speaks to a tsunami. Tell us what you're seeing, Jess.
Right now, exactly what they're reporting. This is intense because we're watching this magnitude earthquake. It was originally 6.0, now reported 6.6. What's happening now in Napa County and just along that California coastline near Eureka, Humboldt County, all throughout that area, a tsunami warning is in effect.
Like shortly before 1:30, right? And I was getting out of bed to get a drink, and next thing you know, I heard a huge bang and everything shake. And I was so confused. I was like, that can't be real. That's not a firework. So what is it?
Dane felt a little better when he checked Facebook. Others heard it too.
A kind of spooky and unsettling mystery happening last night in North Stamford, Connecticut.
A booming sound, big and loud, roared across a 2-mile stretch of Stamford. No shortage of residents calling the fire department, describing something that nearly 24 hours later, authorities still can't figure out what it was.
Wasn't an earthquake. No damage was found. Just a mystery.
We are not supposed to talk about the booms.
Evidently, there's a lot more booms going around than I first realized. I thought it was just here local to Rigby, Idaho, but it's not. Shortly after posting my video about the booms, I have a law enforcement friend. I'm not going to say if it's state level or county level, but he came over to my house and said, "Hey, Aaron, it'd be a good idea to pull the video you posted about the booms and not talk about it anymore." He didn't tell me if he knew what they were or what they were doing it for, but he says as an agency, they've been told to deny, deflect, and diffuse. So they don't want it to be talked about. Now, I'm not crazy into conspiracy theories, but my officer friend did tell me about a local amateur seismologist that contacted the news and gave him a story about he set up several different seismology detectors around the area, and he was going to run a story on it. And shortly thereafter, before they could actually run the story, he had a heart attack and he's gone. So that got me thinking that there's something going on with these booms that we're not supposed to know about. So if I stop making videos, guys, you'll know why.
What the?
We were all wondering, what are these huge boom quake reverberations that are going on? This is a little frightening. It rattles the house and the windows and the ground.
Where were you and did you hear it?
Those are the questions everyone is asking tonight after big booms shook the Salt Lake Valley and other places in northern Utah.
And nothing on the news that I could...
No, just this.
Just this, yeah.
It sounds more like an earthquake growling.
But across town, the coffee cups were rattling. Nobody could talk about anything else.
Sonic boom of aliens. 1,000%.
As for more grounded theories, BC Hydro confirms there was nothing on their grid that could have caused the blast. Environment Canada tells Check News there was no lightning or any other atmospheric ruckus on their radar. After all this, it is no clearer. If it returns, well, you'll no doubt hear it again, but a mystery it remains.
Loud sounds described as booms are getting the attention of people in Mill Creek Township, including the police. In a post on Facebook, the Mill Creek Police Department acknowledged these booms coming from the area around West 17th and Fillmore Avenue during the past few days. The police report these sounds are not the results of any training exercises or SWAT activities. The loud booms have been identified as mortar-style fireworks or explosives.
Officers who have been on duty have heard it themselves. They described it as being pretty loud, shaking cars and buildings, and seeing some smoke in the air. We haven't received any reports of any types of injuries or anything of that nature.
And Mill Creek police are urging anyone with information to to contact them.
There is a mystery right now in Connecticut, leaving many with questions. Dozens of people called 911 last night to report what sounded like an explosion. There's no evidence, though, anything blew up, but whatever it was loud enough to rattle homes, even knock photos off the walls.
You're more or less of a phenomenon to us, an anomaly that happened. Things like this have happened before, though.
I heard a big boom, thought that my kids jumped off something like a furniture.
No, Nina Clark's kids weren't to blame because the noise she heard rattled houses in a 2-mile stretch of North Stamford around 6:45 last night.
All of the windows were shaking and we just felt vibrations. And my dad called upstairs. He was like, what the hell was that?
It's a great question, one that so far has no answer.
Chalking this one up for right now is undetermined and somewhat of an anomaly.
Others dialed 911, at least 10 calls around 6:45 last night. Then at 3:45 this morning, 2 additional calls reporting the same thing. The fire department responded each time and found, well, nothing. Jason Christie was home for the first loud boom. His wife heard the second.
She called me while I was at work at 3:45 or something. It happened again, so I don't know. It's very interesting.
Online, there have been other Big Bang theories. Everything from a meteor to something falling from an airplane to a crystal meth lab exploding. The fire department says it's investigated, and the answer to all that speculation is no, no, and no.
There was no explosions, there was no problems with our infrastructure, no gas main problems, no fires of any type.
We begin today with the mysterious booms heard across northern Utah today.
Now, people living across Salt Lake Valley are reporting their houses were shaking and their windows were rattling.
This is what people were hearing. It interrupted one Utahns' date.
Single, so, there's that. And there's firemen in front of me at the place, and their radios go off, and like 4 or 5 at a time. They're listening to their radios saying, there's these explosions going on. I'm like,
Playing pickleball, this married couple stopped their game to listen.
At first I thought it was like a truck, but then it was more like a comparison, like a sonic boom, like if you hear like one of those planes that fly overhead, that type of thing.
We do know that the Tooele Army Depot is confirming that those 14 explosions are in fact routine.
Unexpected booms rattled the Salt Lake Valley, sending some Utahns into a panic. Animals on edge.
Close to Cotwood High, it's actually shaking the building.
In over 1,300 911 calls to Salt Lake dispatchers in a 20-minute time frame.
48 caller stating it was more of a loud banging noises. Sounded like possibly an explosion.
But believe it or not, it's just another day for the people of Tooele.
I don't ever pay attention to when it happens. I guess it's just normal for us out here in this neighborhood because we hear it all the time.
This is the video Cheyenne Kenner got from her front porch, and she will admit the smoke cloud felt larger than usual. What wasn't normal? The sound traveling all the way to the Wasatch Front.
Now, one thing we have received reports of is people may be hearing this as far as Park City or Deer Valley. And we are going to toss it to Jenna Bree, who's live out in the field with community reaction of several individuals across the Salt Lake Valley who heard and felt these explosions.
It was shaking the whole entire complex, it just rattled the place. And so we could hear it, then we walked outside and you could just hear it, boom, boom, boom. And it was like every time I walk in the house, it would happen again.
Tyrone Smith said he never felt concerned or like he was in danger. But again, people around here aren't used to hearing this kind of thing from all the way over the mountains.
Beryl is an unprecedented storm. None have formed as quickly or have intensified as fast in Atlantic hurricane history. And satellite pictures show it's not done yet.
The hurricane has been upgraded to a Category 5, and it is the strongest recorded storm to form this early in the season in the Atlantic.
And the number of fires in Brazil's Amazon rainforest has gone up by more than 60% in the first 6 months of the year, reaching its worst level in 2 decades. Brazil's space agency has reported 13,500 fires. The country's environment minister says most of the fires have been initiated by farmers clearing the land for agriculture.
Power of last month's deadly EF4 twister that leveled parts of Greenfield, Iowa.
Wind speeds in this tornado topped 300 miles per hour.
Yeah, so with our radar, we calculated wind speeds of over 300 miles per hour, which is very fast and very strong wind speeds.
300 miles per hour. Only the third tornado ever recorded with winds that strong. And it moved, they say, at up to 55 miles per hour, twice a twister's typical speed.
It's very rare.
Fire crews on the Greek island of Kos are battling wildfires that forced locals and tourists to seek shelter overnight. More than 100 firefighters are still tackling the blaze.
Dozens of fires broke out across the country over the weekend, and people planning holidays to Greece are warned there could be more to come over the summer, as the country's had its warmest winter and earliest heatwave on record already this year.
The question now, will it hit us here in the U.S., where a scorching heat wave has 120 million people under heat alerts tonight? And a massive California wildfire, look at this, has forced tens of thousands to evacuate.
Even by hurricane standards, Beryl is a brute. This was Carayacu, an island of Grenada, when the hurricane was a Category 4. It's now been upgraded to Category 5. 160-mile-an-hour winds and savage storm surges have left swathes of the Caribbean flattened and flooded.
This is actually the strongest storm that we've had in my lifetime.
So many people have lost their boats. There's nothing more we can do but stand and watch total destruction. Our livelihood going down the drain.
To see storms on this scale is rare. In July, it's almost unheard of. If we look at every recorded Category 5 hurricane broken down month by month, we can see that September is the peak season because that's when the ocean is at its warmest. Now, Beryl, on the 2nd of July, is 2 weeks earlier than the previous earliest, set in 2005. And here is a key reason why. This line shows the surface temperatures in the tropical area of the Atlantic, whilst the red line shows this year. It's already nearly as warm now as it is at the September peak.
Our ocean temperatures are increasing. With that dangerous heat, wildfires continue to rage in Northern California. Nearly 30,000 people in the city of Oroville forced to evacuate. The Thompson fire destroying homes and structures in its path. Several firefighters injured.
Tonight, the quick-moving Thompson fire near Oroville raging in Northern California. More than 3,500 acres scorched so far with 0% containment.
More than 1 million people have been affected by flooding in Bangladesh. Authorities have warned of dangerous flood levels in 13 districts in the Sylhet division in the northeast. Tens of thousands have been isolated by floodwaters. Thousands more have been evacuated to temporary shelters after continuous rain for nearly a month. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because you were mentioning there that the Indian floodwaters are coming into Bangladesh, as you were talking about with the opening of the dams there. But also there does seem to be a more frequency in terms of the flooding, and the monsoon rain patterns also seem to have changed. What is the speculation about what's driving this?
Well, the climate experts are saying the weather system, the El Nino, is playing a tricks on this. You see more frequency, and the pattern is different than maybe decades ago. And also a lot of man-made disasters also. Deforestation in the Indian Northeast hilly mountain regions, which is causing floodwater to throw more easily and causing landslide.
In the Amazon, as you said, there's a record-breaking number of fires in 20 years for the first 6 months. But, of course, there was the record-breaking drought in the Amazon, 2023, 2024, all over the Amazon. And this is, yes, this is related to a strong El Nino phenomena from June, July 2023 through April, May 2024. But also record-breaking North Atlantic Ocean temperature. That is changing the climate of the whole planet, including, as your report showed earlier, this almost record-breaking hurricane now hitting, in the Caribbean. This is all related to this very, very hot temperature in the ocean. So that induced this record-breaking drought. But of course, when there is a record-breaking drought, there is not many lightnings. So lightning ignited fires are very, very little. So out of these 13,000 fires, less than 3% are related to lightning ignited fires. So it's all related to man-made fires. Organized crime wants to get rid of the Amazon forest. They want to really to get rid of the forest, to transform the forest into huge cattle ranches, gold mining, other mining.
So